What's up, everybody? It's the Alex Leak and Friends NFL podcast back for another week. I'm your host, Alex Leak. We got Dustin on the show. What's up, Dustin? Good to have you back on.
Yeah, thanks for having me as usual.
We got Bret back on the show. Good to have you back, Bret.
Yeah, thanks for having me back, man. It's been a little bit here. I'm ready to talk some football.
That's what's up. Week 6 of the NFL 2020 season, week 6 games breakdown. So let's get into this. We're going to start out with the Texans, the 1-4 Texans at the 4-0 Titans. Just based on records coming in, Dustin, what was your thoughts? The Texans 1-4 coming in against an undefeated Titans team. Did you expect the Titans to blow them out, or do you think is Houston playing better football than the record indicates?
I had thought that the Titans were just gonna come in and just close it out in the first half, but I mean, the Texans are playing better football under Romeo Crennel.
Yeah, it's nice to see Crennel getting his team to play hard. A hard-fought game that goes into overtime, but at the end, they just couldn't stop Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a monster. He combines for 264 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brett, a lot of people that say don't pay the running back, and running backs aren't as impactful in today's game. The Titans paid Derrick Henry this offseason, and he doesn't seem to have taken any step backwards. What do you think on him?
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a reason he's on my fantasy football team.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a different breed of running back. When you look at the running backs today, there's so many different styles or alleys or ways that you can use and utilize the running back in today's game. But this is just you talk about beast mode. He's ending Pro Bowlers' careers with these hits, man. His highlights are crazy, and he just seems to be tough to stop. So until somebody stops him, I don't see anything else or any regression. I think he's just he's moving forward, and he's cementing his legacy here.
Yeah, when I look at Derrick Henry, I think, you look at what he did to Josh Norman a couple of weeks ago, just throwing him out of the way. He's like a locomotive. He's like, once he gets going, if you stop him early before he gets ahead of steam, you can kind of contain him. But you allow him to pick up speed and get to the open field, good luck tackling with that guy. He, in my opinion, he reminds me of a modern day Jim Brown, and that's such high praise. Dustin, you're in the same division. Your Colts are in the same division as these Titans. They improved to 5-0. How big of a threat are these Titans? And they're 5-0 and were in the AFC Championship game last year. How good are these Titans right now?
They're a great football team, and until somebody can put their foot down and stop Derrick Henry, the Titans can go all the way, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Ryan Tannehill. All the talk is about Derrick Henry, but Ryan Tannehill is in the MVP conversation right now. You look at his stats compared to Patrick Mahomes, like the last 15 games, and they're almost identical. Brett, what have you seen out of Ryan Tannehill that's got him playing so well in Tennessee rather than what he did in Miami? Is it Derrick Henry, or is it just the right? What's up with Tannehill?
I think it's a combination of a few different things. Like, yeah, definitely the run. Having an established run game can absolutely help a quarterback. When you don't have a run game, the defense knows that, and there's different pressures. There's different ways that you're going to be going about how you're going to defend or what your game plan is. But when you have Henry, in there in the backfield, you don't know what's going to happen. If he busts one loose, that gives it a little more leeway, and more focus on the other aspects of the offense other than just Tannehill, which lets him kind of relax and just be who he is. and do what he has to do in order to keep that team, going where they are. And right now they're not being stopped. So I don't know. I don't know if he's got a chip on his shoulder just because of the things that were said about him with the money that he got. He's proven himself right now. So I don't see.
I agree. I think that what Tannehill, he's not doing anything that he out of his character, right? He's just playing quarterback.
Right.
But Derrick Henry's opening it up. And on top of that, Tannehill is a damn good quarterback. And not only does he have a good arm, he's got legs too. He's an underrated runner of the football. So, I just think that lanes are open because of the threat of Derrick Henry. And he's just, they're good playing, calling a good, a good system around him and all that. So the Titans they're rolling right now.
Yeah, they seem to have a. Yeah, you're right. There's nothing stopping them.
Now, so the Titans coming up, they improved to 5-0. They're taking on the 5-0 Steelers next week. Dustin, do you think this is the week that the Titans get their first loss?
I do. That Steelers team is a damn good football team, man.
Yeah.
And they are explosive on offense. And this is the best defense that the Titans have seen all year so far. So,
yeah, and I think they're going to look to take Derrick Henry out of the game. I think that's going to be their one and only goal is contain Derrick Henry, keep him under 100 yards, and let's see if Ryan Tannehill can beat us. Do you agree with that type of how they're going to approach it?
Yeah, if you keep Derrick Henry under 100 yards, which good luck, that's a pretty hard task to do.
Yeah.
But, force Tannehill to have to throw the ball, and we can really see how good Ryan Tannehill is.
Now, Bret, we were talking about the Texans previewing their season, saying, no DeAndre Hopkins, but they still have weapons. They still have Deshaun Watson. They've got David Johnson now. But now they fall to 1-5, and the season's just not going their way. Yeah, they got Aaron Rodgers and company coming into town next week. What do you think? Is this going to be a rough year for Houston?
It looks they can't seem to overcome the big instances in the game.
Yeah,
and that's something that they kind of did last year, or were seeming to compete more. You could say that a couple of these games they could be 4-2 instead of 1-5 or 3-3, but that could happen for many teams. And the teams that aren't 1-5, that are 5-1 or 5-0, are the teams that are overcoming those big instances in the game or those big time moments. And those are the teams that, those are the best teams. And I don't think. I don't know. Green Bay, they might have a hangover from what happened last week, but we'll see. What happens. I don't think Aaron Rodgers comes out and just flops down, but I don't think that the Texans are not gonna make it a shootout like it seems to be every time anybody plays Green Bay this year.
Yeah, I just feel like the Texans' biggest weakness is definitely on the defensive side of the ball. Offensively, Deshaun Watson can carry them, and he can put up points. It just seems like defensively they're not good enough to, it goes back to how they lost in the playoffs. Got out to a 24-0 lead, and the lead is gone by halftime. The defense isn't good enough to keep, the game, the lead. And so Deshaun Watson is constantly fighting. So it's going to be a rough year. I'm happy for Romeo Crennel getting, improving the team, but I think it's going to be a tough one. And
I think, with the other game you were talking about, the Titans and Steelers, I think the Titans are going to take this one because the Devin Bush injury. That's
Yeah,
way too big of a hit in the middle for them to just overcome it with this. You don't this is not the guy that you want to be facing when your middle linebacker ends the season. Now you got to rush and find something. I think they might be scrambling around here a little bit on Sunday, and it ends up going Tennessee's way.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it will be a really good game. That's going to be on the big screen for me. But I also think that the Steelers' run D is so good that I think they'll be able to overcome the Devin Bush injury. It's a tough loss for sure, but I think they will be. I still like the Steelers' defense a lot, and I think that they can overcome the loss. But we'll see. It's a big test for them going up against probably the best running back in football right now.
Right.
Let's go to the big, highly anticipated game, the 4-1 Browns taking on the undefeated Steelers. A lot of hype around Cleveland, a lot of praise going to their head coach coming in. 4-1, beating Dustin's Colts. And Dustin, going into this game, after what the Browns did to the Colts, did you think that the Browns could do a better job against these Steelers? Because they got blown out of the water 38-7. What do you think happened there?
I honestly did. I thought this was the year where the Browns, actually get over that hump and had a chance to take a lead in the division. But, man, Baker just couldn't move the ball. He played terrible. And that offensive line just couldn't hold the Steelers back, man. It was sacked. He had somebody in his face all game long.
That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up about his Baker's play. I mean, he was questionable coming in with a rib injury, but he got pulled in the third quarter in favor of Case Keenum. You don't normally see, the young franchise quarterback getting pulled like that. Is this more, his ribs in a blowout, or are there some serious questions in Cleveland about Baker Mayfield's future? What do you think, Dustin?
I think it could be questions about his future. I mean, those wins he had, he only performs well against teams that are below 500. I mean, he has yet to have a big game against a team who is above 500 with a winning season. So I think maybe Cleveland fans are getting tired of seeing him not play so well.
Do you think, Bret, that Dustin has a point here? I mean, the Browns 4-2 on the season, but their two losses are to division rivals, the Ravens and the Steelers, the games they need to show up the biggest. They got blown out in both those games this year. Do you think this is a lot of blame put on Baker Mayfield? What do you think?
I mean, when it comes to the individual performance, you're right. He had lower, it was lower quality games from him.
In both those.
In the games that you need to have those be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Throughout the season, but at the same time, it's still a team thing, and it's not all put on one person, but the play, of your leader can set the morale or set the tone for your team as a whole going forward. And if you don't seem to be as confident like he did in those games, then the rest of your team's going to feed off of that negatively, and you saw it happen.
I saw some people saying, look at the Browns roster, especially on offense. You got Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, Kareem Hunt. I know Chubb's out, but when Chubb gets back, he's there. A loaded offense. Is Baker Mayfield holding this offense back, in your opinion?
I think there's several quarterbacks that I can think of right now that I put in there, and they are undefeated. So, yes.
Yeah. So, we'll see. I don't think that the Browns are ready to move on from Baker just yet. I think the benching had a lot to do with his ribs and it being a blowout and, let's not get this guy hit anymore. But it is something to keep an eye on the rest of this year. with, when it comes to Baker getting the contract extension, getting that big deal, how well he performs, his ability to beat you got to beat the division rivals. I don't care who you are. You have to beat the best teams in your division, and the Browns are talented enough to do it. So it's going to start coming to a head. You agree, Dustin?
I'm here.
Okay, you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. And I mean, but right now, honestly, if you look at the Browns roster, Baker is their best choice, unfortunately. I mean, they don't really have
Yeah.
anybody else who can step in and
He's
help
better
the
than
team
Case
win.
Keenum. Yeah.
Case Keenum is I wouldn't let that be one of my choices if I was the coach, but yeah.
Yeah, so you got a point. They don't really have another option this year, but it could start to become a conversation point at the end of the year and going forward. Like maybe we need to start looking at another quarterback or quarterback competition for Baker and see if he raises his game if competition is brought in. Like a guy like, let's say, Ryan Fitzpatrick, who just got benched today. He's a perfect guy to bring in to push and get the most out of a young, struggling up and coming quarterback. Like what the Bears did with Foles and Trubisky.
Yeah, but do you think Miami's going to get rid of him?
Well, they named two of the starter today, so.
Right, but they want, I think that they would want to keep him there to mentor him.
You know what? Fitz was not happy. Fitzpatrick was not happy with the benching. He doesn't seem like the type to create drama out of it. I'm getting the sense he might ask for a trade. He might be like, look, put me in Dallas and let's see what happens. I think Fitzpatrick is I've never seen him this upset. And it's like he knew it was coming. He knew a benching was going to come eventually in Miami, but he was pissed.
Yeah, he was playing well.
Yeah.
Really well.
What do you think, Dustin? You think Fitzpatrick, let's say he asks out. You could put Fitzpatrick in Dallas. I think he's a better guy than Andy Dalton, better quarterback. With those weapons in Dallas.
Absolutely. And Fitzpatrick was playing darn good this season. He had Miami at 3-3. How often do you see Miami at 3-3?
Yeah.
He shouldn't have got benched just yet.
No.
And I think he got robbed of his spot. But, yeah, if you were to put him on any other team with weapons who can win, I think he'd do all right.
Exactly. I think you put Fitzpatrick under center in Cleveland, he gets more out of that team than Baker's done so far. But don't attack the messenger, as they say. Let's go to the Ravens and Eagles played on Sunday. In Philly, I thought this was going to be a decent game, but I could see how some people are thinking Ravens blowout. They got out to a 17-0 lead, but the Eagles kept fighting, got it back to a 30-28 game, but they go for two to try and tie it up, and it doesn't work. The quarterback option play doesn't work. Ravens improved to 5-1. Eagles 1-4-1, still in the hunt in that division though, because Dallas sucks and everybody else sucks. Bret, do you still think the Eagles at 1-4-1 have a decent shot or will come out of the NFC East as champions?
This is ridiculous that you're even asking me this question right now. I can't believe that's it. That division is, I don't know. I don't see why not. Who's going to win that division? You tell me.
Yeah, Eagles could easily win it with like a record of like 5-10-1.
5-10-1.
Seriously, that would be the worst playoff record ever, I think.
Yeah, and plus there's going to be 2 extra teams this year?
Yeah, one in each conference. All right, so the NFC East is just so weak. Dallas, who lost, Philly, who lost. Who in your opinion right now, Dustin, would you predict to come out of the NFC East?
In my opinion, right now, I think it would have to be Philadelphia because after watching Dallas play, they don't even have any fight left in them. I mean, it was Cardinals the very first second, and at least Philly's fighting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Philly, what you're seeing is, their injury hit, things aren't going their way, but they keep fighting. And they were a 2-point conversion away from going to overtime with the Ravens. Dallas, they can't even keep it competitive. And the star player with Dak Prescott out, the guy you're going to rely upon to carry the team, Zeke Elliott, had back-to-back fumbles and got the team in a 14-0 hole. It's hard for anyone to dig out of a 14-0 hole with the backup in. You agree with that, Dustin?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, the only player that you really got that can make some noise is, putting the ball on the turf, and you have no other playmakers out there. At least, when your quarterback don't get the ball to the playmakers.
Yeah, so I agree with you on that. I think that the fact that we're still seeing fight out of the Eagles, and they've got guys like Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson coming back from injury, this is why I have the Eagles. I agree with you guys. I've got the Eagles coming out of the NFC East, but no saying, who knows how ugly that record's going to be.
You said 5-10-1, man. That's crazy.
Could be, or 6-9-1 at best. I mean, shit. Speaking of the NFC East, the two teams that no one's talking about, the Washington football team and the New York Giants. The Giants scrape out a 1-point win over the football team. It's Joe Judge's first career win as head coach and the Giants' first win of 2020. But watching this game, man, I don't know. Me and Dustin we were talking about this for the last 2 weeks, Bret. I don't know what Ron Rivera is doing as head coach. I don't understand his type of thinking. With a score 20-19, he could have kicked the extra point and forced overtime. Instead, he went for 2, saying, "We played to win at the end. That's why I went for 2. The only way you can learn to win is by playing to win." Bret, what do you think of Ron Rivera's decisions to not only bench Dwayne Haskins for Kyle Allen, but going for 2 in these situations and in my opinion, putting his team in kind of tough situations?
Yeah, both of those moves together make it seem like they're just giving up. But at the same, because if you're fighting for something, like it's almost as like if they have nothing to lose going for 2.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've seen it happen before. Where teams just want to. They don't think that they can finish it out if they duke it out in an overtime series or something. So they just want to finish it right there.
Well, and I could agree with that if you're playing Bama or the number 1 ranked team in the country, but you're playing an 0-5 Giants team.
True, but I mean, who are you as a team?
Not that great either.
So yeah, that's the thing. Like, you at least want to try and beat your division opponent, but yeah, I don't. It's like they don't want to even try to give Haskins a chance. It's like the Cleveland experience. They just throw him in there, and then you failed, and then he's gone.
That's like Hugh Jackson put it like this last week. Hugh Jackson said, "When you get named," because Ron Rivera didn't draft Dwayne Haskins, he inherited him. Right. So he's like, when you get named the head coach, it's now you get that opportunity. You're the head coach. You get to pick your quarterback, and if he didn't like Dwayne Haskins, then he can pick whoever he wants. And I understand that Kyle Allen, it was a Panther when Ron Rivera was there, and so he's familiar with Kyle Allen, and Kyle Allen knows his offense. But I agree with you on the fact that it's like Washington's not really trying that hard. Like, they're looking at it like a red shirt season. Like, even if we go 0-16, who cares? Because this is a mini rebuild, and that's what it kind of feels like. Taking all these chances. Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
No, go ahead, Dustin.
I said, I mean, I don't think Ron Rivera has put Haskins in the best position to win anyways. I mean,
No, Washington hasn't.
Right.
from day one, I don't think they even believed in Haskins.
Well, if you draft him, you got to believe in him somewhat. But they didn't surround him with any talent. Look who's on that roster. Who does he have to throw the ball to? Besides Terry McLaurin, who's, really young, his college teammate. Besides that, he's throwing to Cam Sims and Dontrell Inman and Antonio Gibson, the rookie running back. Like, I just don't know who his weapons are. You put Tom Brady in that offense, I don't know how much success he has.
That's true.
So
Tom Brady did a lot with a little, but
that's true. Prime Tom Brady. I'm talking about 43-year-old Tom Brady. But
Maybe you're thinking for Trevor.
yeah, maybe. But it seems like a lot of teams are the Jets, the Giants, Washington. So who knows?
teams that shouldn't be.
Yeah. Now let's go to Falcons-Vikings. The Falcons get their first win of the year over Minnesota, 40-23. Not really that competitive. Interim head coach Raheem Morris gets his first career win as head coach. When you start the game, when the first play of the game is a Kirk Cousins interception, it's not going to go very well. Bret, you've seen these Vikings a lot. They just seem to have a lack of confidence, the Vikings seem very similar to Washington. Like it's almost a redshirt year, like the pandemic and everything that's going on. Who cares? It's a throwaway season. Do you kind of see it that way?
Yeah, I don't know. I remember when we were talking about them, we talked about how their defense was going to be much, much worse than it has been for the last several years.
And it has been, the secondary especially.
Absolutely. And and that was the key that we said. It's not going to be that same Minnesota airtight coverage defense, hard-hitting, this type of defense like this. It's not them. And it's showing right now because they're giving up a lot of – they're terrible defensively. So you're right. I think they are just kind of giving up because the offense can't make up for what the defense has lost.
Yeah, and on top of that, it's not just that they're bad defensively. It's slow starts offensively too. They were down 20-0 at halftime and trailed 23-0. You dig yourself a hole like that against any team, and it's going to be hard to come back. Dustin, why do you think we've seen these certain teams this year? The Bears are in the same boat, getting off to such slow starts offensively.
It's some of the teams just don't have the great quarterbacks this year.
Yeah.
And I know, you can't use a pandemic for an excuse, but honestly, you don't get that much practice on offense. And
yep. I was gonna say like a lack of preseason. Do you think that's still still hurting these teams? The lack of chemistry and all that.
Absolutely, it's gonna hurt the teams for most of the seasons. Especially when you have a quarterback trying to connect with new young receivers or new players coming into the league trying to get, better in their chemistry. It's just going to be hard because you've also had teams that have had to, reschedule games and all that, and that's just too much right now.
Yeah, you are seeing that. We'll talk about Patriots-Broncos. I think that's a case in point of how the COVID and all that is really affecting teams at certain points in the year. And a lot of this regular season is going to be about surviving it and playing your best football at the end of the year because it's going to be a topsy-turvy regular season, I think, all year.
Yeah.
We had football at 5 o'clock on Monday.
Oh, I love that, though. I love me some Monday afternoon football.
That was nice.
That was dope. Chiefs, Bills, and some cold, rainy weather. I couldn't have been happier. When 5 o'clock rolled around on Monday, I was the happiest. I was so happy. I was like, we got back-to-back football games. I'm excited about both of them. Bret, we saw Dan Quinn and what's his name, the GM as well, get fired in Atlanta. Raheem Morris, the interim, steps in and gets a win automatically. Like they start 0-5, they go to Raheem Morris, and they're 1-0 under him. They get, they're known for blowing leads. They jump out to a 23-0 lead, and they don't blow it this time. Do you think Raheem Morris can be a future? And maybe that identity of blowing the Super Bowl is gone now in Atlanta. You think? Maybe, possibly.
Let's not say that.
A good win, a good start.
Right, it's one to stop
Yeah,
the
it's
streak.
one.
Let's stop the streak. That's 3 weeks in a row that they did the same thing. But it is a start, right? And again, it took going back to the previews before the season. We spoke about Atlanta, and I said this is going to be one, probably the worst one that the Atlanta fans are going to like, because I was being honest about if there's a hangover still, it's going to be bad.
Yeah. We called it. We did. We called it. And we were telling Falcon fans, like, don't take it personally. This is just what we see. And we seem to have been pretty right so far.
Yeah, we didn't want to say it. We had to say it.
Well, hey, someone's got to say it. If someone's got to say it, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Yeah. I mean, yes, whatever. It doesn't matter who it is. You two cheeseheads.
Well, speaking of cheeseheads, actually, we'll get to them in a few. Let's go to Lions Jags. The 1-3 Lions at the 1-4 Jags. A lot of turmoil in Detroit. A lot of people want Matt Patricia out, especially after his comments after the Saints loss. But the Jags was an opportunity to get a win, although it was on the road. But, you look at talent-wise, and you're like, Detroit should be able to go get this one. They win 34-16. Bret, you're a Lions fan. What did you think the Lions showed in this game that they can use going forward? That sometimes you need that quote unquote easy game against a struggling team to get your confidence back. Do you think Detroit did some of that this week?
Yeah. I think they proved something with the fact that that they had a lead in every game, and they controlled every game this season and could easily be undefeated, or at least one loss. And that first game, against Chicago, it's still rough. But
that was still there for the taking too at the end.
Yeah, and Swift comes out. He has 100 yards this game next to Stafford, and it just shows what they can do. That using the whole offense. Hawkinson had a touchdown. Galladay, Danny Amendola had 2 big plays. They're opening up the offense. Like I said that they would be able to do that. Stafford hasn't had a tight end like Hawkinson, so his playability and the skills that he has in his playmaking really allowed the offense to be emphasized, and they had the lead, kept it when it was when Jacksonville scored in the third, and it was a 14-point lead going into the fourth. I was nervous. I was like, please. And they, came out and scored in the fourth, and I was like, all right. And then they stopped them. And, so it's a good, it doesn't matter who it's against. As long as you can, prove to yourself that it's happening. Now we stopped that, and now it's time to move forward and learn how to play with the lead.
So when Jim Caldwell was fired, Matt Patricia was brought in. They were coming off, I believe, back-to-back 9-7 seasons.
Right.
And after the Saints game, Matt Patricia had a comment like, things were pretty bad when I was brought in here. Like I had a lot of work to do. Do you agree with that statement, that he had a lot of work to do? And what do you think? I mean, where's your feelings on Matt Patricia at this moment at 2-3?
He did not have a lot of work to do. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Obviously, that was used as whatever, some kind a statement or a ploy in the interview to make it. I don't know what he was trying to prove or what he was trying to mask.
Just trying to take some heat off of them in any way possible.
Yeah, and he did it, and he made it a lot worse. Caldwell had that team going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And yeah, the back-to-back 9-7 seasons, we missed the playoff one year and the other. And then since then, it's been what it has. And it was true. It definitely, if they would have lost to the Jaguars, he would have been fired immediately after that game. And the fact that they came out and played the way that they did shows that the team still is, behind, wants to win, that they're still striving to, be successful instead of just giving up and not, going forward with their, who's coaching them and everything in the organization. So hopefully it's a step forward.
Yeah, it was nice to see DeAndre Swift with a career high 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. My concern is this. The Lions' offense doesn't seem to be a problem, I don't think. You got Stafford. You got a 300 monster running back with AP, Carry-On, DeAndre Swift. You got Kenny Galladay, Danny Amendola. You mentioned T.J. Hawkinson.
Marvin Jones Jr.,
all those guys. I mean, but then you go to the defensive side of the ball, and a lot of that is Matt Patricia. It's his former Patriot players. And what's your position on what the Lions' defense is, that Patricia's supposed to be building? He was the defensive coordinator. Where do you put him at as far as the defense?
I mean, when you have a double-digit lead and in the fourth quarter, you should win the game.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that 4 times this year already, or 3 times already this year. And it's ridiculous the fact that he was considered or quoted or looked at hugely as this defensive coordinator. That really, I mean, I don't see what the greatness was about his defensive ways or his strategies, but just it was with Bill Belichick. But he's not. I don't know if he's trying to focus too much on the defense. Obviously, the offense is doing just fine, but he needs to be a head coach, and if he's going to have that defensive mentality, then he needs to have his own defensive mentality, not the New England whatever.
Yeah, I agree, and we'll see. I mean, it's a long season. We'll see if Patricia can keep his job at the end of it and get some more wins. So this season will tell the story.
If he doesn't they don't get into the playoffs, I think he's getting fired.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Detroit fan, that's what you should want. And if you're ownership in Detroit, I think that should be the standard, because Jim Caldwell was getting there, and Patricia has struggled so far. Dustin, you were high on Gardner Minshew, or higher than me, at the last year. 1-5 start this year for the Jags. Has your opinion on Gardner Minshew changed at all, or do you think that the talent around him isn't good enough to get much out of him?
My opinion hasn't changed yet. I don't want to give up on the quarterback yet, but I think it's the talent around him. Jacksonville's not very good at all. So, again, they're another team in a rebuild, but I just have to say something about the Lions. If you give Jim Caldwell that kind of talent, I guarantee the Lions make the playoffs.
Yeah, I could agree with that statement. Do you agree, Bret?
They're not going to be 2-3, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Yep. There you go right there. That tells you about all you need to know. Matt Patricia is head coach for now, but if I'm Lion fans, I'm like, this is year 3? And the product hasn't been good enough. So we'll see how the season finishes out, but I think the writing's on the wall for Patricia, maybe Bob Quinn as well. And we'll see. Now let's go to Bengals Colts. Dustin, your Colts dropped down, are down 21-0 right off the bat in this game. They allow a big touchdown to T. Higgins, but then they fight back. Only down 24-21 at halftime. So they make a big comeback and then hold off the Bengals 31-27 and get a big win. Get to 4-2 on the season. I mean, at the end of the day, you just got, you played a bad start, but you just got to get the win. So you have to be happy with the win, maybe not the way that it went down.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with the win. And I mean, you can't sleep on the Bengals. Yeah, their record doesn't reflect anything, but they got talent. And Joe Burrow played a great first half against us, and definitely. But it was great to go 4-2 because, like I said, our schedule from now gets tough, and we wouldn't have made it out had we not have been 4-2. I don't think.
Yeah, you want to have that little bit of a buffer so that if you have to take a loss or two, you can survive it. How about rookie safety Julian Blackmon with the game-ending interception off of Joe Burrow? You got to be happy with that rookie, that draft pick.
Yeah, that was a great draft pick, and I didn't think he was going to be what he is, but I'm starting to think maybe he's the best secondary player on our team.
Yeah,
right now.
I'm right there with you. Bret, what have you seen so far Joe Burrow and the Bengals? I mean, the record isn't that great, but I think we've all seen reasons to be optimistic about the Bengals' future.
Yeah, they're figuring things out. They're young. Obviously, number one pick as your quarterback, it's going to be a big change when he's coming in. But he's not playing. He's not. You're right. He's not. They're not amazing by any means, the Bengals, but they're not playing below the threshold that would make them seem like they're. It's not going to be a successful way.
Yeah, they're not losing games because of Joe Burrow, right? They're losing games in spite of Joe Burrow.
Right. And they're. It seems. If I was a Cincinnati fan, I would feel optimistic just because, they're doing it the right way. Yeah, he goes in there early, but he's the guy. He's the number one pick. That's what you do. That he's ready to play at the next level. And yeah, he's not going out there with fireworks, but that's not expected of him yet. And he's not going out there, with duds. So. Let's give him some time, let him learn, and looks like the Bengals could possibly be a little bit more competitive than they have been recently here in the near future.
Yeah, I'm going to make a bold prediction here. From what I've seen, I think Joe Burrow is the best Bengals quarterback they've had since Carson Palmer. I think that he's that talented, better than Andy Dalton. And Andy Dalton was, had them in the playoffs 4 years in a row and was playing pretty good football at one point with A.J. Green and those guys. But I think that Joe Burrow can be better than anything Andy Dalton was with them.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Dustin? The Colts defense 2 weeks ago was considered right there with the best defenses in football. Do you still hold them to that, or maybe not as good as they were a couple weeks ago?
I don't think they're as good, but Indianapolis has a bend but don't break defense.
Yeah.
They'll let a team drive it down the field and then force them to a field goal. And
isn't that frustrating as hell in the moment when you're like, just make a play, make a stop, and they're driving all the way down the field, but then they make a play when they absolutely need to? Yeah,
it's nerve-wracking, and I've gave a few lashings at my TV, but anyways, but as long as they get that important stop at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Yep. Yeah, so big win, and the Colts are in good position at 4-2. Let's go to Bears-Panthers. Like I said, going into this, or I didn't say it on the podcast, but going into this game, I was a little bit worried about this one. I felt like this was a letdown game, right? The Panthers coming in on a 3-game winning streak, playing better than a lot of people expected. Teddy Bridgewater, who kicked the Bears' ass last year as a member of the Saints, and he knows the Bears well, going back to his Vikings days. So I was a little bit worried about this game, but the Bears came out right off the bat with an interception and a touchdown to go up 7-0. They held the lead throughout and were able to get the win. And I'm more confident in our defense now than at any other point in the season. I feel like we're starting to hit our stride. And speaking of Julian Blackmon, I love these Utah rookie secondary. Julian Blackmon's the shit, and Jalen Johnson is the shit for Chicago. He was a great addition as the number 2 corner. I think he's a upgrade over what Prince of Mukamara was. So a big win for the Bears to get to 5-1. Bret, a lot of people are saying, the Bears 5-1, that's great, but are they really that good? And they're about to go into a 3-game stretch here with the Rams, the Saints, and one other team. What are you thinking when you see the Bears play? Are they vulnerable still, even with the record?
I mean, we'll have to see. I don't think that they've. I mean, their defense is good. They're winning games, doing what they have to do. But some of these games have been very
up in the air. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Bears have landed on the good side of things a little more often. So, the law averages, it has to, weigh out at some point maybe. But at the same time, I think back to the Jaguars of a couple of years ago who, their offense with Bortles, their defense was amazing. And they just did what they had to do to win games and get carried.
Just enough. Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that that's what this Bears team's doing. But at the same time, you just switch your quarterback with, the record that you have. Obviously, there's something that's missing or something that is not been figured out yet. So it could just, it could collapse. But at the same time, it could all come together. Who knows?
Next time that the Bears and Lions meet up will most likely be with Nick Foles. What do you look at this team as different with Nick Foles compared to Mitch Trubisky?
I don't know. I think Foles kind of has a little more of I don't know. A little more of like a swagger to him about things.
Yeah, he's done it before. He's a Super Bowl MVP. I mean, you got to have a little swagger with that. Right,
and so, he can come in and analyze the defense with any kind of, fault of offense that you put out there. So, obviously, like you said, Super Bowl MVP, he knows what he's doing. Trubisky, obviously, got benched. So, the question with him seems to be like his time could be near over in Chicago. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
with Mitch, it was like, when's he going to take the next step? When's he going to start to show signs that he's getting it,
Right.
And with Foles, you know what you got. You know that this is a guy that can read defenses at a better level. He's a veteran. Nothing's really going to make him panic, right? He's seen it all. So he can kind of –
He's proven himself.
Yeah. And but I'll say this. I mean, so the Bears get a big takeaway, right? Eddie Jackson forces a fumble. The Bears take over at the 22-yard line. And it's like, here we go. Let's go get 7. Let's put the pressure on them. The very next play, Nick Foles throws a terrible pass in the coverage, and it gets picked off. 0 points off the takeaway. Those are the boneheaded mistakes that we have to cut out. As much as Foles is better at reading defenses and putting the team in position to win, he still makes some dumb decisions. So we're not perfect at quarterback play whatsoever. So like every Bears team that I've been following since a little kid, besides the Trestman era, it's defense is the name of the game. And I'm excited about where our defense is. Dustin, coming up next week on Monday Night Football, the Bears at the Rams. and the new, I believe it's SoFi Stadium, that monster stadium. The Bears defense is clicking. They're trying to get to 6-1. What do you think about this? I mean, that's going to be a fun game. I'm sure you're going to be watching that one. What do you think happens in that?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game, but after the Rams lost to the 49ers, I don't really see them being able to beat Chicago. I mean, the 49ers are depleted and stuff, and Chicago to me is just a way too good of a defense. And I know, their offense starts slow, but defense wins championships, man, and that's why the saying's true.
Yeah, and so especially against certain players, right? Certain defenses just seem to have certain quarterbacks' numbers for whatever reason.
And
Jared Goff in two career games against the Bears has thrown 50% completion, 353 yards, 0 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and a 44 passer rating. So not great.
Coming from a guy like me who, really don't care for the Bears, I have to say the Bears are the second biggest threat in the NFC.
Wow. That's the thing for me that gives me hope is like if we can just get into the playoffs, right? And be rolling once we get in, the defense can carry you. The defense can keep you in any game. And then Nick Foles is that special. Like, can he get hot and carry a team in the playoffs? Or is he just going to, are we a get in and lose right away like usual? So we'll see. Dustin, real quick on the Panthers, Teddy Bridgewater, they're on a 3-game winning streak. Now they're 500. But that little rebuild thing that they're doing, they're playing pretty well despite the rebuild.
Yeah, and I mean, Bridgewater is a good quarterback, and I definitely think they'll even get more better once McCaffrey comes back from injury.
Yeah. Bret, Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson is a damn good receiver in this league right now. But why are the Jets, the 0-6 Jets, why'd they get rid of Robbie Anderson? Makes zero sense to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have a question for that or an answer for that. It's why would you? You see what's happening. They seem to not be making very good decisions there, and I don't know if it's communication between the office and the field or management or the players, the locker room. They're just, you see what's happening.
Yeah.
And you got now Bell.
Yep. Now Le'Veon Bell's gone.
So something, he wanted out of there. Something that we don't know about behind the scenes is tearing that organization apart.
I think it's ownership. I think something that bad goes all the way to the top. They're the ones that hired Adam Gase, and Adam Gase has torn that team down. They drafted Sam Darnold to be the franchise quarterback, and look, they appear to have ruined Sam Darnold. They appear to be ready to move on from Sam Darnold. Now they're 0-6, just got shut out by the Dolphins, and they seem to be headed right for Trevor Lawrence. I want both of you guys to answer this. If you're Trevor Lawrence, would you even consider going to the Jets, or would you pull Eli Manning or John Elway and say, I'm not playing for the Jets, or would you go back to Clemson for another year? What do you guys think on that?
I would absolutely bypass the Jets because that whole organization needs a cleaning from top to bottom. And,
yes, it does.
And, Trevor Lawrence is great, and Darnold was supposed to be great, and I feel he can with the right system. But, that if I'm Trevor, I'm saying I either go somewhere else or I'm not going to the Jets.
Yeah, trade me or I'm going back to Clemson. That's my take. What do you think, Bret?
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know if I would want to go back because you risk that
injury.
Getting hurt.
Yeah.
The same question was with Burrow last year. Like, oh my God, I don't want to go to the Bengals, and we see how it's working out. But at the same time, I don't think that the Bengals were as much of a
Dumpster fire.
Yeah, like they were very close to getting back on track to get back on the right path to becoming an organization that's competing, and they're doing that right now. The Jets. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what they're doing.
Even the Bengals had AJ Green and Joe Mixon and Tyler Boyd. They had pieces, right? I don't know what the Jets have. I agree with Dustin. It's a complete, whoever you said it, it's a complete tear down, rebuild, clean house. The Jets need to just start from scratch. And Joe Flacco, treading Joe Flacco out there every week doesn't help things. It looks so bad.
Dang, no respect for Joe.
No, Joe Flacco I was a big Flacco fan when he was in Baltimore. Those days are long gone. This is not Joe cool anymore. This is Joe terrible.
I mean, yeah.
But Broncos, Patriots. This is the game of all the games this week that shocked me. I think this is the one that shocked me the most. Broncos going into Foxborough. Cam Newton back after testing positive for COVID. It's a field goal fest, and the Broncos find a way to win 18-12. Cam Newton can't get it done in the clutch, and the Broncos go into Foxborough and beat the Patriots 18-12. My biggest takeaway is Cam Newton and this Patriot offense just looked rusty, and it was COVID and missing practices and having their schedule kind of turned upside down on them. Is why they lost this game. Dustin, can you tell me, how do you think the Broncos won this game? I mean, Drew Lock tried to give it away with back-to-back interceptions in the clutch. I still don't know how the Broncos won this game.
I mean, yeah, and again, I think, you hit it on the point. Cam Newton was rusty. The offense was rusty.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick may have been rusty himself. I mean, he's facing adversity for the first time since 2008.
Yeah. He's used to having old Tom Brady to rely upon on the offensive side. Cam Newton's not Tom Brady,
No, he can't figure it out like Tom Brady can, no.
Yeah. And then I was very confused by this with the score 18-3.
No, it's just I don't know. Yeah, they're he's definitely not as confident, Bill Belichick.
No, it's going to be a different year in New England for sure. We'll see how it all turns out. But they fall to 2-3 for the first time since 2008, like Dustin said. So, and then something that confused me in this was the score 18-3. The Patriots score a touchdown, make it 18-9, and Bill Belichick decides to go for two to make it a 7-point game. Which kick the extra point, make it 18-10, make it a one-score game. Instead, they didn't get the two. We're down 9. Ended up kicking a field goal and never got the second score. Bret, where do you stand on these coaches going for two when it's not absolutely necessary, and it coming back to bite them later on in the game?
I think it's just a tactic, like a war tactic that they're trying to get an advantage in a situation that isn't going to really come about again in the game, which then they won't have to come down to it at the end and do that.
Go for two with the game on the line. Yeah, I understand that.
But at the same time, I think, if you can keep it a one-possession game,
yeah,
put yourself in the position to have to do that. Anything else they could fumble the ball and you could pick it up and run it back and then just, stop them and kick a field goal.
That's the thing. That's the thing is they seem to be trying to predict the future when the NFL is so unpredictable. Anything can happen at any time. So, it makes no sense to me to go for two there. I would wait and see what happens. What if you get a pick six the very next play? Like the
Right.
game can change so quickly. And to me, going for two down 9, all it does is make it more difficult on yourself than the opponent. Kick the extra
Yeah.
point, and you're within one score. I'm all about keeping it as many possessions as least possessions as possible to get back into the game. And I just don't understand it. Me and Dustin have been going back and forth on this. I mean, what do you think, Dustin?
You always should take the extra point, but I see their points sometimes, even the kicking game these days isn't a guarantee.
That's true.
So, coaches want to be more aggressive and want to win ball games, but at the same time, the extra point is always the more better way to try to, stay close into a game or try to win. At the end of the day, kick the ball.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, you got to score a touchdown either way. So, why not? You're right. Kick the ball. You have to get that 6, and then that's when you make that decision. Now, if you don't kick the ball, now you have to get that 6, and then regardless of whether you go for 2 or not, you still have to get another, 3 points. So, an extra possession. Yeah, at that point in the game, I think you kick it.
I agree. Here's what I'll say to that, Dustin. I agree. He makes valid points. And another point I heard is go for 2 now, earlier, than when the game's not on the line, because the coach wants to know right then and there whether he needs 2 possessions or 1. He doesn't want it to come down to just a 2-point conversion. But that leads me to believe the 2-point conversion, I've been saying this all year, the 2-point conversion is a low percentage play. The defense knows it's coming, and it's all on one play to get 2 yards. And I understand, it's only 2 yards, and it's 2 points. It's obvious, whoever, but I don't think it is. And Dustin, to your point, sure, the extra points aren't automatic anymore. But what do you think the percentage is league-wide on extra points? I'm going to say it's at least 95%.
Yeah, I would have to agree, probably about 95%. But my question for you is, why do you think the coaches are being so aggressive?
Because that is the in thing to do right now. It's the hip thing to do. It's the analytics department in all these NFL franchises. They've all hired analytics departments or head of analytics guys that all you have to say post game is, I was trying to be aggressive. I wanted to be aggressive. I wanted more points. That's all you have to say. And the media is like, oh, okay, it makes sense. And it's like, what the hell are we doing here? Play to win the game. And some of this ultra aggressive for no reason makes zero sense. Like when you see these coaches going for it on 4th and 1 from their own 20-yard line, it's like, what the hell are you doing? Madden players know better than that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I have no answer for it.
To me, it's a risk versus reward thing. Every single decision is risk versus reward, right? And if it comes down to, hey, I could make it a 7-point game, but 95% chance I could make it an 8-point game, or if I go for 2, potentially it could be a 9-point game and I'm still down 2 possessions. The last thing I want is to be down 9 and 2 possessions. I'm going to take the safe bet, kick the extra point, and keep it 1 score. That's just my take. I could be wrong, but I'm not a fan of this analytics movement.
Do you think we see this continue into the playoffs?
Yes. I think at least for this year, it's going to take a couple years for this to phase out. And some people are so gung-ho about it. Why do you think Mike McCarthy is under so much heat in Dallas, and why the Cowboys are to such a bad start? Analytics and being super aggressive for no reason has cost his team, and they're lucky not to be 0-6.
Yeah, I mean, they could have swung the other way a few times.
They could have. And that's the thing, is that they hold on the potential and what could have been and stuff. It's like, man, you got to play the percentages and risk reward in the moment. That's why they get paid the big bucks. And that's why we're talking about Ron Rivera in Washington, like, oh, this is a redshirt year, like they don't care, like it's a practically a rebuild. It's because they're doing dumb shit like that and being ultra aggressive for no reason. It makes no sense to me.
I agree.
So I could go on analytics forever. We might have to have an analytics episode and why I hate analytics for an hour.
And I'll tell you why I love it. We could do this one. I'll do it.
Yeah. But okay, so you love analytics, but do you agree with? You already said you don't agree with Belichick going for 2 there.
Yeah, but you got to pick and choose your battles within that.
Exactly. And I agree with you on that. I'm all for that. Pick and choose your battles. At times, being aggressive and using analytics can be to your benefit. But just because you know how they say percentages say go for 2 because percentages say you'll get it, right? That's what analytics says.
Right.
Well, the reason where they get those percentages from is they look at every 2-point conversion for an entire season, and they look at did they success failure percentage, and they go by that. And my opinion is that doesn't give you what you need. You need analytics percentages for going up against Aaron Donald, analytics percentages for going against certain defenses. And all that, it all needs to be encompassed, not just, the percentages say go for it, or 2 points is more than 1, you know?
You're right, because when you're just average, there's no relevance to any other statistic in there. Like nothing, it doesn't matter whatever the number is for this specific area, it has no effect on the other side. So yeah, you're right. That's just saying like, all right, well somebody shot 10 times, shot 10 threes, and hit 5 of them. So chances are you're going to go 5 for 10. Like, no.
Yeah, and you see the same thing in basketball. They're like, shoot threes, shoot threes, shoot threes. The percentages say shoot threes. And now we've got bad basketball and horrible shot taking.
Yeah, and you're right. You do need specific analytics. You do, you don't just go into film and say, all right, well, we're playing a 4-3 defense. Like they play it completely different than the last 4-3 defense that you played against.
Yep, exactly. You have to take it all into consideration. The same reason why if I'm a Lakers fan and LeBron James is on my team, I know they're champions, but I am not a big fan of LeBron James shooting it from near half court like he's Steph Curry. Even though he makes it from time to time, I want LeBron to put his head down and dunk on people because that's high percentage.
Yeah, no, you're right. And there's way other, there's more people in line before him who need to be taking that shot.
Exactly.
It's not his,
If I want someone to shoot from near half court, I'd rather have, Danny Green isn't a good example, but he's a better deep shooter than LeBron. I don't know.
No, you're right.
I'd rather have Steph Curry do it.
How do you think that these kickers feel? They might be losing confidence and maybe thinking that the coach doesn't trust them to make the extra point or something.
Yeah, it could affect all different areas. It could affect kicker confidence. It could affect confidence in the head coach. I think that's a big thing that gets slept on here is that these players pay attention to the coach's decisions. And when a coach makes a decision and it doesn't work, then it's, that's why part of the reason why Cowboy players are calling out Mike McCarthy and that coaching staff because they're like, we don't believe in it. And the entire organization has to believe in what you're doing and all be pulling in the same direction. Otherwise, you're going to hit snags. And when you lose a tough game, people turn inside the building.
You're right. Yeah, it's, when you're winning, people are happy. When you're losing, no matter how it is.
Yep.
People
exactly. Yeah. So it's a conversation for a different episode, but we'll keep this going. Jets Dolphins. The Jets fall to 0-6. Dolphins now 3-3. Dolphins at 3-3. You wouldn't expect them to bench their starting quarterback, but they bench Ryan Fitzpatrick in favor of Tua. The Dolphins have a bye this week, but Tua's first start will come against Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and the LA Rams. And with Ryan Fitzpatrick not being very happy with the benching, this seems to put a decent amount of pressure on Tua to perform and play well right off the bat. What do you think of this decision going with Tua over Fitzpatrick, going into week 7?
I don't think it was the right choice at this moment.
Yeah, I agree.
He had that team going in the right. You take away his first game, and his statistics are at the top of the charts in the whole league.
Yeah.
Touchdowns, 4 picks. He's averaging 270, whatever it was. His team's winning games. And he's putting his team in position to win games, and he's still doing that. And I don't know if they just want to tank and get because they have I think the Dolphins, pending the position that I don't know who it's with, falls into, they could possibly have 2 top 5 picks next draft.
Yeah.
So I don't know what their plan is, but if they were like, damn, Fitzpatrick, they thought he was going to start doing too well, but I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. It brings up the conversation. Does Ryan Fitzpatrick want out? Does he want, possibly go to Dallas like we mentioned before or somewhere like that? What do you think on this, Dustin? Do you think this puts a lot of pressure on Tua to have success right away?
Yeah, Fitzpatrick got his job ripped right from under him for no reason. And
exactly, facts.
The Dolphins fans are going to, expect Tua to come out and play great games and lead them to the playoffs and stuff in the future. And if Tua can't, then they're going to start thinking about that decision of benching Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, and you want to put, what I liked, why Mahomes is so successful in this league, I think, is a big reason is why he started out or how he started out in Kansas City. They practically let him redshirt the entire year with Alex Smith out there. Then they put him in a meaningless Week 17 game and said, here, no pressure. Let's see how you look. No pressure at all, And then he was able to sit for 15 games behind an excellent veteran and Alex Smith. I thought what Miami was doing with Tua was perfect up until this point, sitting him behind a great veteran and Fitzpatrick, seeing how Fitzpatrick goes about his work and finds ways to win games. And to make this move so early in the season changes everything and puts the pressure right on Tua when, especially coming off such a major hip injury and all that rehab, I would have liked to see Tua sit for as long as possible, and maybe come in a meaningless Week 17 or maybe even wait until next year until he's fully 100% ready. What do you think?
And Flores hasn't even gave a reason why he benched Ryan Fitzpatrick. I mean, at least come out to the media and give him a reason why. Yeah.
I don't know. Interesting developments in Miami. But, yeah, I mean, maybe if I'm the Cowboys, I'm absolutely putting a feeler out to Miami like, hey, what can I do to get Fitzpatrick? Because Dalton didn't look that good. And I feel like Fitzpatrick is hungry and pissed off and can come in and light a fire under any organization right now.
And that's a perfect division to do it in.
Yeah, give the Cowboys, who are reeling right now, a spark. All right, let's go to Packers-Bucks. 4-0, undefeated Packers going into Tampa Bay against Tom Brady and the Bucks. Very much highly anticipated game. And the Packers get out to a 10-0 lead, but then Aaron Rodgers throws just his 3rd pick-6 of his career, seems to lose confidence, back-to-back interceptions, and it just all unfolds from there. Comes undone, and the Bucs blow out the Packers 38-10. Some good. Tom Brady was excellent in this game. Looked very accurate. Looked like vintage Brady for most of this game. Aaron Rodgers and Ndamukong Suh getting into it, talking trash back and forth. I love to see that. That's some history. That's some football history right there.
Oh yeah.
And then So, Brett, what do you think? Seeing the Packers, surprising. I mean, we don't get to see Rodgers pick sixes and the Packers blown out too often. You got to enjoy it when it happens.
Oh man, that was amazing. Uh, yeah, that it's great to see Green Bay struggle any way possible, especially with the offseason that they had, thinking that it was going to be a struggle, and then Aaron Rodgers comes out and is like, nah, um, and does his thing until he meets up with the GOAT apparently, and yeah, it's we'll see how they're going to respond this week. We talked about earlier, their game they're going on. Shoot,
Packers?
Houston, right? Yeah.
Yeah, at Houston. They should win
So
that. Should bounce back, but we'll see.
maybe, but yeah, it's nice to see them get demolished like they did, and the Lions won, Packers lost. Great day.
Dustin, what did you think seeing Aaron Rodgers not look like himself and throwing pick sixes in this game? And in the game of the week on Fox, I mean, he looked a little unrattled. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he was unrattled because the Tampa Bay defense was all over him all game long. And I just see as you're going to get one of those games, out of Rodgers. I mean, it can't be perfect.
Yeah.
But Tampa Bay was just the better team. And I think they came out with a plan to bring pressure to Rodgers. And when you pressure any quarterback, they're going to throw picks.
Yep. Now, did you like to see? Do you remember this Ndamukong Suh Aaron Rodgers beef going back to Detroit and Green Bay? And did you like to see it rekindled a little bit on Sunday?
I do, and yes, it was fun to see. But I mean, Ndamukong Suh is sneaky and a rough player, but I just love seeing things get spicy on the field.
Yeah, and from what Rodgers was saying, it was kind of like he thought they were going to have a little conversation after the game, and Ndamukong Suh just walked off the field, and there's maybe some lost in translation, like maybe Sue didn't mean meet you at the end of the game on the field, maybe meet you at the bus, like let's throw down type shit. Like some old school beef here. I love that.
It was too big for that.
That's
Sue was too big, man.
That's what Rodgers said. He's like, this is the most human I've seen Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show talking about Sue. You can see it in his face. He was like, look, I don't want no problem with Ndamukong Suh for real. Like, I'm not trying to fight Sue. He's like, on the field, it's fun to have a little back and forth. It's kind of contentious. But he's like, I'm not trying to actually fight the dude.
Yeah, he would. Yeah, it would be his last fight.
But great game for Bears and Lions fans watching the Packers get the shit kicked out of them. Mm-hmm. And vintage Brady, for 43 years old, he was slinging it, hitting Gronk in stride. Vintage game for both Brady and Gronk. If this is the potential of what the Bucs can be, it looked pretty damn scary.
Oh yeah, we thought that before. Brady going there wanting to taking over, and he's doing exactly what Tom Brady does. And yeah, came out and they just took it. They put it to Green Bay, that's for sure.
And I think a big part of it is Brady was fired up. Brady was pissed off coming into this game. He coming off an embarrassing performance on primetime TV on Thursday night against the Bears. Not only did he get beat, but he forgot what down it was. That's embarrassing as hell for the GOAT, for Tom Brady. And then Aaron Jones comments going into this game saying, my quarterback knows what down it is. All that, it was a perfect storm for Tom Brady to be like, I'm going old school with it. I'm going to sling it all around and kill these guys for a game.
Yeah, shut it down, right before it gets going.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to get in his head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably somebody that you don't want to piss off.
Yeah, exactly. Let's go to Sunday Night Football, Rams-Niners. A lot of people, Most people picked the Rams to win this game. Tony Dungy was one of the rare to go out and say 49ers. And the 49ers hang on for a 24-16 win over the Rams. Bounce back win for San Francisco. Dustin, after Jimmy Garoppolo got benched at halftime in week 5, he looked pretty good in week 6 and delivered the win against a solid Rams team, a big in-division win for San Francisco.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I mentioned earlier about all the injuries and stuff, but they played solid ball, and they could, potentially finish second in that division because I'm not too sold on Jared Goff. He's so inconsistent.
Yeah, the Rams are a question mark. What do you think, though, of the Cardinals?
Oh, sorry. I completely forgot about the Cardinals.
You can't forget about the Cardinals.
Yeah. Anyway, the Cardinals played great on Monday also. So I think it's going to be Seattle and then Arizona and then San Francisco. And I think the Rams might finish at the bottom.
That's crazy to say, sitting at 4-2. And I hope that we help you out by sending them to 4-3 on Monday night. But yeah, after a 4-1 start, if they go back-to-back losses, they'd be sitting at 4-3. But I don't know if I agree with you on the 49ers, just because look at that division. That might be the toughest division in football.
I think that's the Steelers and the Browns in them. But
yeah. But I mean, who's the bad team in that division in the NFC West? It's hard to say right now.
That is true. That's very true. And I don't think right now there is a bad team in that division. It's up for grabs.
Yeah. Bret, what'd you think? 49ers bounce back. I mean, the 49ers won the Super Bowl last year. We talked about it. They were like a Jimmy Garoppolo deep ball completion away from possibly winning the Super Bowl. Garoppolo got benched last week, bounced back. Niners sitting at 3-3 now. What do you think of this 49ers team? Do they still have Super Bowl, as a possibility, or maybe not anymore?
I don't think that they have as much of the morale or charisma as they did last year to make that push.
Yeah.
They're playing up to par, I guess you would say. But that's about it. And they didn't seem to have like a huge strength or that was like a huge difference in comparison to most teams. That hasn't really grown much from what I've seen, last year to this year. So I wouldn't say that it's going to be a repeat of them going back to the Super Bowl.
And isn't Nick Bosa out for the year?
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
Torn ACL. So that's a big loss.
Mostert's hurt. Like they're just, they have injuries everywhere.
Yeah. We'll see with San Francisco. I tend to agree. I don't think potentially I could see them missing the playoffs this year. So that'd be quite a fall. Let's go Monday Night Football. Chiefs, Bills Monday afternoon football. Chiefs, Bills. We should have a Monday night game at 5 every week. 5 and 8. I loved it. Chiefs win 26-17, but the Bills put up a fight. But the biggest thing was the Bills couldn't stop the run. In a cold, rainy game in Buffalo, not what you expect watching the Chiefs and Mahomes as a run game, but 35 rush attempts, ground and pound, and the rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes for 161 yards. I think Edwards-Helaire was motivated after the team trading for Le'Veon Bell earlier in the week and came out and balled out. But, this Chiefs team just showed the ability to run the ball, and play keep away. They did a really good job of it. Do you expect to see the Chiefs include the run game into their offense more going forward? What do you think, Dustin?
Absolutely. And with them getting Le'Veon Bell, that's going to be the most unstoppable offense in the NFL.
Yeah.
with the way Clyde Edwards-Helaire is running the ball, and you add Bell, plus you have all them weapons. Sammy Watkins still injured. So whenever he comes back, man, it's going to be – the Chiefs are going to be hard to stop, very hard.
And if I'm the Chiefs, I am going to run the ball a lot more. If I've got Edwards-Helaire on a rookie deal and young, fresh legs, and then you bring in Le'Veon Bell for a change of pace on top of, Darwin Williams and their other options, I'm running the ball more. Put less pressure on Mahomes. If you ask Mahomes to just, make a great throw here and there instead of every play, damn, this Chiefs offense could be tough to stop. I agree, Dustin. What do you think, Bret?
Yeah. No, they've already, established the fact that their offense is pretty unstoppable. So when you add that factor to the run game, that it only increases what they have as far as what they can put out there and the production. And the output, it's a scary thought.
Yeah. It's going to be tough. Now, what do you think, Bret, Le'Veon Bell joining the Chiefs? I mean, the rich get richer. He was kind of not doing much with the Jets. What do you think Le'Veon Bell brings? I mean, he's a great pass-catching back. He can be, I would like to feed Edwards-Helaire mostly and just have Le'Veon Bell be like the third down back, here or there. What do you think he is going to bring to this offense? I mean, it's crazy.
He brings he's like what would you say, a rover. He's able to do some things that can give you different looks that you can put out there for the defense, in which, like you said, you wouldn't know exactly what's going to be done. I would like to use Helaire mostly. That's who your running back is, or who you had initially.
Mm-hmm.
This gives you different looks, and it allows you to be more flexible with your play calls.
Yeah.
You need to, as the they seem to be just fine.
Isn't that?
But they said that they're still putting in place, every week.
Isn't that what every offense wants? The ability to be incredibly versatile and very unpredictable, so the defense has no clue what's coming next.
Yeah,
I mean, that seems to be the Chiefs right there within an Andy Reid system. Dustin, after starting 4-0 and looking like a potential, contender in the AFC, the Bills have lost back-to-back games against tough opponents. What are your thoughts on the Bills going forward? Do you think they can still come out of the AFC East as champions?
Yeah, I think they win that division because the Patriots are struggling and everybody else, Miami and all them. But
what about Tua and the Dolphins? They could come out of nowhere.
I mean, they could, but I don't see it happening right now. I'm mad at the Dolphins for what they did to Fitzpatrick, but I think they win the division. They're just struggling to score on offense, and their defense can't stop nobody's run game right now.
No, that was horrible. Their defense as a whole is in trouble, especially their run D. I mean, as much as that was impressive by the Chiefs, it's like, come on, man. If you could make one stop, the Bills were in that game. They just couldn't make a stop. The running game was gashing them. Every time Clyde Edwards-Helaire would get the ball, there was like a lane that you could drive a 18-wheeler through.
Yeah, and it's just you have to be able to stop the run to win football games in the NFL, because it's hard to have a run game, and if it's that easy to run on you, you're not going to be very successful.
But Dustin, everyone tells me it's a passing league. No, I'm right there with you. I believe you.
I mean, I'm starting to see that it's starting to be more balanced, because you have guys like McCaffrey and Henry and Kamara and, all these other guys out there getting 100 yards games now, and it's starting to be a more balanced league, in my opinion.
I agree, 100%. I don't think it ever I mean, maybe it got away from it a little bit, but I think it's always been a balance. Can you do both league? Um, so yeah, but I think it's definitely coming back too, and you're seeing it. You know, that's why the Chiefs. You know, they're the defending champs. Yet the Chiefs drafted a running back in the first round and traded for Le'Veon Bell. So that should tell you all you need to know right there.
I have a question for you though, Alex.
Okay.
How do you think Edwards Hilaire feels about this Le'Veon trade? I mean, do you think this makes him feel like his starting job is in jeopardy, or is it going to kill his confidence, or how do you see that?
I don't think it kills his confidence. I think it pisses him off. And I think we saw that case in point. I know he was going up against a bad run D, quote unquote bad run D, but he torched Buffalo and was running hard. And I think, if anything, it's the best of both worlds where the NFL is a not for long league. So you have to produce, you know, regardless of the circumstances around you. And I think Edwards-Helaire is the type of player that takes this personally and is pissed about it. And not like publicly is not going and saying it's unfair or anything like that. He's just saying, if I get the ball, I'm running hard as fuck and I'm trying to score on every play. And I think that's best case scenario for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, Monday Night Football, the late game, Cowboys-Cardinals. Cardinals blow out Dallas 38-10. Andy Dalton gets the start, doesn't do much. Cardinals get out to a slow start, but back-to-back Ezekiel Elliott fumbles, put the Cowboys in a 14-0 hole, and then it just snowballs from there. What do you guys think, Bret? Zeke Elliott, you know, Dak goes down. Dak Prescott done for the year, so Zeke Elliott's going to be the workhorse, right? You feed Zeke 30 times a game and say carry us. But back-to-back fumbles early in this game put them in a hole. Cowboys are in trouble if they can't depend on Zeke and Dak's gone.
No, I agree. That's their, that's their bread and butter right there. So, they took big hits on defense this year as well at the beginning of the season. So they're falling apart left and right.
Yeah.
I don't, like you said, if they can somehow get Fitzpatrick in there, that's their best option.
So are we giving up on Andy Dalton already? I mean, I didn't like what I saw on Monday night.
No, I didn't either.
What do you think, Dustin?
I mean, yeah, he struggled, but he is a known winner. I mean, but that Cowboys team is just in a lot of trouble, man. They just can't win, and with their best player fumbling the ball twice and the team going up 14-0, it's just not good. And I don't see them getting maybe 6 wins this season now.
Yeah, I agree. Like you guys saw how many yards Dak Prescott had. He was on pace for 6,000 this year before he got hurt.
Goodness.
He was throwing it everywhere, and they were still barely winning games. They were, 1-3 really, and the defense, despite Dak throwing it all over the field, the defense was still giving up leads. So you take Dak away, I agree. I think this defense is atrocious. I think it's Mike Nolan as their DC needs to get fired yesterday. And I think they're in trouble. And I agree. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is something they need to look into. Because they've got weapons. They've got CeeDee Lamb. They've got Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard. But, if they don't get more production out of the offense, the defense has proven the Cowboys need to put up 30-plus on offense just to have a chance.
Yeah, and see, that was the thing that they hit on earlier was when I was watching is that Mike McCarthy and Mike Nolan are very good friends, and I don't think that McCarthy would, be able to fire him.
Yeah. Man, I would say fire Mike McCarthy now, bro. I'm not a Mike McCarthy guy. I turned on him when he was in Green Bay the last 2 years. I said they should fire him. I'm out on Mike McCarthy.
That's a bold statement right there.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to fire him, right? but I would. I would have never hired him. I think I'm just not a Mike McCarthy guy, and I think that he's part of the reason. And I'm not the only guy that's not happy with coaching. This is from unnamed Cowboys players on their coaching staff. Quote, totally unprepared. They don't teach or adjust. They just aren't good at their jobs, end quote.
Oh, wow.
It's a shit show in Dallas right now.
If you got the players saying that, then that's a problem.
It is. And you would think, because Jason Garrett was the problem, right? Everyone kept saying, Jason Garrett's the problem. Jason Garrett's the problem. Here comes Mike McCarthy, a proven winner. Everything should be different now, right? It might be worse.
Yeah.
What do you think? What do you think, Bret? What do you think on Mike McCarthy and this Cowboys? Any chance they save their season? I mean, 6 wins might make the playoffs.
Yeah, but I agree with you on the McCarthy thing. I'm not a huge fan.
Yeah.
I don't think it doesn't matter what, that division's up for grabs. You can kind of do whatever you want at this point.
Yeah. Make the playoffs and get eliminated right away. Who cares? You know what? Instead of Mike McCarthy, you know who the Cowboys should have signed as their head coach?
Lincoln Riley?
Maybe. That's not a bad option. He has been rumored there. I would have said Eric Bieniemy, the Chiefs' offensive coordinator.
Mm.
He needs to get a job. I'm so shocked he didn't get one last offseason. And, man, I don't know. I'm not a McCarthy guy. I think it's going to be a long year in Dallas. Let's see who they play next. Oh, they play a winnable game. I think they play Washington next. Yeah, at Washington in Week 7. 2-4 Cowboys at the 1-5 football team. So as bad as they are, I think there's a pretty good chance the Cowboys get to 3-4.
What if they lose that game, though?
Move it to where?
I mean, what if they lose the game to the football team? Then do you start talking about Mike McCarthy's job being in trouble?
If they lose, dude, if they fall to 2-5 and lose to Washington, fire everybody. Start fresh. Get rid of everybody. Get a new owner in there. Man, if you can't beat Washington at this point, I honestly think next week at Washington, that's a must-win game for the Cowboys in Week 7.
Yeah. In order to be able to keep pace in the division, I agree.
Yeah, because the Eagles should win tomorrow night against the Giants.
Maybe.
At home. No Miles Sanders, though, for that game.
What, they'll have a 1-game lead?
2-4-1. Even if the Cowboys lose, they'd have a half-game lead.
Exactly.
So, who knows, man? The NFC East is crazy this year, but I can't wait. Let's keep the games coming. There's so much to talk about every week. We could talk for 3 hours on this last week, but ain't nobody got time for that.
One last question for you.
Okay,
Alex,
what you got? By the way.
I know how you feel about Cliff Kingsbury, but he's winning. I mean, what more do you expect from the guy?
They're 4-2. They should be winning. You got Kyler Murray, who's pretty good. You got DeAndre Hopkins. You got Larry Fitzgerald, Kenyon Drake, Chase Edmonds. I think this is a little bit of smoke show, though. Do I think the Cardinals are going to make the playoffs? Borderline. They're 4-2. I think they finish the year 9-7, 10-6 at best, but I'm going to say 9-7, and they might get the 7th seed, but I'm not that high. I mean, does making the playoffs, is that a win for the Cardinals? If so, then I'll give Cliff Kingsbury some credit.
I mean, I think they want to go beyond that.
Yeah, if they want to go beyond that, I don't see it. even if they make the playoffs, I don't have them winning a playoff game.
Yeah,
They still have a lot of learning to do.
They do. And it's not just Cliff Kingsbury. It's a young, inexperienced quarterback in Kyler Murray. Like, he started out slow against Dallas. If they don't get those 2 fumbles and get out to a 14-0 lead, who knows what happens? Like, and did you see? I mean, I'm sure Bret, you saw the way Kyler Murray played against the Lions.
Yeah,
What, 3 picks in that game?
that was the Lions' defense.
that barnstorming defense over there.
Yeah, no, that I don't know. At times he seems like he makes decisions that are a little bit impulsive.
Yeah.
But you're gonna do that at a young age, at any level, at the beginning of your tenure there.
Kyler Murray's got a bright future in this league. He's an athlete. He's got an arm. He can make all the throws. It's just, is Cliff Kingsbury the right guy for him? And how much are they going to win now? Like, what do you think, Dustin? I mean, you asked me, but what's your opinion on it?
I mean, I think he's a good coach. Look at what Mahomes did coming into the league. He was the one who coached Pat Mahomes at Texas Tech. So,
yeah, that's Mahomes. Cliff doesn't get anything for that.
but I mean, he's young, and a lot of young coaches are actually making a name for themselves in the league lately.
Yes,
So,
I'll hold off on judgment on the Cardinals at this point. Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray are both too young and still showing us who they are. We don't know who they are yet.
yeah, and I just have to go over this real quick. So next week, Antonio Brown will be eligible to return to the NFL.
Hell yeah.
So I am reading that Seattle Seahawks are the first interested team. Could you imagine him and DK Metcalf?
Oh, my God. To go with Tyler Lockett and Greg Olson and, what was that, David Moore, all those options. Russell Wilson would have a field day. If you give Russell Wilson Antonio Brown to go with DK Metcalf, just go ahead and give him the trophy.
I wouldn't say all that now
Yeah,
because I think
slow it down.
KC's more talented.
Man, I'm ready to give Seattle the trophy right now, as it is.
Oh shit!
Russell Wilson is my MVP at this moment, and DK Metcalf is the closest thing this league has seen to Calvin Johnson.
Absolutely.
So, we'll see. I think their questions are on the defensive side of the ball, and if they get Antonio Brown, who knows? But more than just Seattle is looking to get Antonio Brown. Multiple teams are interested, and I can't wait to get AB back in this league. This league is missing him.
Come to Indy, please.
Come to Chicago.
Oh, man, I would be so mad.
You want him in Detroit, Bret?
No.
Next
Bret.
week we're coming for you, Bret.
Oh, you think so?
Yep.
Who plays next week?
Colts play the Lions after their bye week this week. The Colts.
Week 8?
Detroit.
All
I
right.
was supposed to go to that game. I was supposed to get tickets, but Rona.
They got fans, though, right? Don't Detroit have fans?
No, the governor's not letting know.
Oh, man.
Whitmer just changed that again.
Gotta love the governors. All right, well, appreciate you guys. Good to have you back on. Good to get back on, Bret, and good to have you on, Dustin.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, man. Anytime.
Yep, and so like I said, next week we should have another guest to do the Hugh Jackson interview that we did this last week. Talk about all the breaking news in football and last week's game. So appreciate the support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Have a great week, guys, and peace out.